Amen. It's wonderful to see everyone. This is like the packing parties and the fundraising dinner all rolled into one, and everybody's in the same room. So, because some of you saw one at the other, but not everybody. So, what I want to do is share some memories with you, and along the way say thank you to some individuals as well. First, I want to start by saying thank you to our Heavenly Father. This is a ministry that has a lot of moving pieces to it. And without a lot of helping hands in this room, it would have never happened. But without God, we wouldn't have even been able to participate in this. It was all Him. He drew us. And so, without God putting together the partnerships between ministry partners, donors, volunteers, CRU Inner City staff, He enabled us to have an impact far beyond what our abilities would have come up on our own. And so I want to start by sharing how God called Marlene and I to CRU Inner City. I'm going to shorten the story. It's a little bit long. Many of you remember the name Here's Life Inner City, which is what we used to be called. When I first joined the ministry, that's what it was called. I'm going to use CRU Inner City just for, actually it's one word less and clarity as well. So in 2006, our church elders at Grace Church in Fayetteville asked a question: if we closed our doors tomorrow, would anybody but us care? And they felt like the answer was probably no. And so they set about changing that and got into the compassionate ministry business. The realization caused us to reach out and care for our neighbors in Fayette County. And that change sparked something in me. I had been doing pure administration up until that time for about 25 years. And I was like, I'd like to do something more hands-on ministry. And so that continued. We canceled church one Sunday, went and did service projects, and it went on for about 3 years. Well, in 2009, God brought all that to a landing for us. We were at our biannual staff conference in Colorado State University. And when we walked into the gymnasium, I distinctly heard a question asked of me: are you willing to move? And it was almost like I was expecting it and I was dreading it, because I'm like, well, God, we don't want to move. But after I wrestled with it for a few minutes, I said, well, if that's what being obedient is, then okay, I'm game. And so after the speaker finished, he did a interview, a panel discussion type thing with the director of Here's Life Inner City. That got my attention. And then as I walked out of there, I kept running into people that I had known earlier that were now with CRU Inner City. And so I okay. So after processing all of that, the one question that remained was, does CRU Inner City Atlanta need my skill set? And the only person I knew that knew the answer to that was Tom Fritz, because he and I were friends when they were officing on the 5th floor. We were on the 2nd in Union City. And so I ran Tom down and I said, can I use my skill set? And he said, absolutely, they can use you. So Michelle and I scheduled a meeting with Michelle, and she didn't know that we were really serious about the move. And she wasn't flippant with us, but she was very matter of fact. And she said, well, I'm praying for 3 things. I'm praying for an administrator. And I said, okay, well, that's me. She said, I'm praying for a guy, because we're 2 single women. I said, all right, well, that's me. And then she said, and they're both African Americans, okay, so you don't miss my point here. Third thing was, she said, we're praying for diversity. And I'm like, okay. So my reaction was, sign me up, I'm here, this is it. So my beginning job was ministry administrator and to oversee compassionate products. Well, my Boxes of Love was the first thing in November, and it was my baptism by fire. Renee was supposed to train me in 2009, and then I would take over after that. So the day before the packing party, we went to get the food, and there was a big snafu with it. So we got what we could get, brought it back to the warehouse, and we unloaded it, and we're standing there, and Renee trained me. She said, here's the tables, here's the food we have, this is a pallet jack. Make the line work. I'm going to go find more food, and then she left. So I like hands-on, and so it was really perfect training for me. I was very happy with it. She did everything in her head. I like a plan written down. So the next year I came back and I created a flow chart for the whole thing.
Flow chart.
David Webb said, "All right, we got a new sheriff in town." So after not very long, I realized I needed to have people that I trusted in places along the line to make it work, or else I couldn't even effect a change with it. So God brought me David Webb, Jeff Copeland, Theo Demps, Jerry Sutherland, and Mac and BC. I don't think they're here. I would come with a plan, and sometimes it worked just so I'd drawn it up. Other times the warehouse had changed and we had to change on the fly, and these guys made it work. And the stressing, or the stressing party, the packing party was a stressful thing at times, because when we got done, if we had the wrong count, there wasn't anything you could do about it. It was too late, but you went through the whole thing. So they made it work though. And the part about the packing party, seriously, that I enjoyed the most was coming and seeing them there, and we're working together as a team. So guys, I appreciate you to no end, and thank you for your service. I want to thank our ministry partners. Without you, there would be no CRU Inner City Atlanta. Michelle and I wouldn't have jobs. There's no point. So at my first packing party, so many partners came up to me and said, "We've been praying for you to join and help Michelle and Renee." And I was like, man, these relationships, I didn't know what I was walking into, but this was just awesome. And so they without you, Box of Love would just have been food in a box. That's it. Homeless ministry is very difficult, but the passion you brought to reach homeless men, women, and children was incredible. And so I just want to thank you for your faithfulness over the years to reach people in Inner City Atlanta. I also want to thank Atlanta Inner City Ministry. Bo Davenport was the director. He gave me a place to do work on adult development. And so I did holistic hardware there, started doing the WorkNet training. And also, he asked me to put together a personal budget training, so I did that as well, and did that at the training. WorkNet helps people that have been out of the job force to gain confidence to re-enter the world of work. And I started at Atlanta Inner City Ministry, then gradually we shifted over to work at Gilgal, and Val Cater is here. Val, thank you for coming. Val was very encouraging. I had a great time helping navigate the women that were getting ready to look for work, and we just had a great time. Jerry Sutherland and Jeff Copeland both had large roles there as helping coach, because I always would take someone with me, and they helped run the mock interviews, which was integral to the whole program. So I want to thank all of you for that as well. Michelle, thank you for your leadership, but more importantly, your friendship. You made it easy to serve on this team. Okay, I mean, I may have brought diversity, but I didn't feel like it. You guys were easy to work with. I'll be forever grateful for the discussions that we had on current events, race issues, and your patience listening to my questions that I had, that I was working through. And you brought some of your own as well, but it was a great time. And I'll always remember the way you directed traffic when Renee and I would go and take off on something you thought was just a small agenda item, and we're spending 10 minutes on it. And you directed traffic, so thank you. Bryant and Alexis, thank you for this gift. I was telling somebody it's like being able to be at your own funeral where you have old friends come. And that's the power for it, so this is good. Thank you for this great gift. And lastly, I want to thank my wife, Marlene. You gave me the confidence to join CRU Inner City. When I was decide what to do. You saw a fit for me that I didn't see. And you said, you need to do this. And so for that, I thank you. I have often told our personal supporters that we're in the business of hope. And one story that I will close with illustrates that. At the first budget training that I did at Atlanta Inner City Ministry, one of the attendees was a small business contractor. He did painting and small renovations and such. And his name was John. When we do a training, I always bring someone with me to help coach, and the guy that I had this time was named Jim, and he had experience with the Small Business Administration. So this was just perfect. I said, Jim, would you talk to John, just see what he can come up with. So Jim was asking him, well, how do you bid a job? And he said, well, I do this. He said, well, are you planning to replace your truck? Are you planning to replace your painting equipment? He said, no, I have all those. And if you're a business person, you're probably laughing at that thought. That he said, well, you're going to have to replace those eventually. You need to add that into your bid. So he worked with him, revised this whole process and everything. So John left that meeting not really thinking he's going to get any more work with using this inflated number now that he has to bid the job, but he said he would try it. So the next week, he comes to the training, he's grinning from ear to ear. He said, well, I had this guy and I told him what the bid was. He said, I knew he was going to say, never mind. He said, when can you start? And he said, this changes everything. He said, I can replace my equipment. More importantly, I can keep the good workers that I've had that I'm not going to have to let go because I'm not making any money. I can pay myself. He said, this just changes everything. So we are in the business of hope. Amen.